So that's
Correct.
when most of the people are having problem while processing and losing production and also loss of production. Okay. So it was Manoharan, please. He's a veteran in chilling and cooling towers. So please take all the knowledge from him, whatever he is going to share. Thank you. Over to Mr. Manoharan, please.
Thank you, Kumar.
No, sir, you can share your screen, sir.
Yeah. You're able to see?
No, sir. Still
We
it
are
is
not able
not
to
shared.
see your screen, sir.
Yeah, wait a second. Now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. You can go in presentation mode, and we can able to see you.
Yeah, good morning to all of you. And again, I wish to thank the entire IPI team for making this happen. In fact, last IPA also I have given some brief about various coolings. Now I am restricting myself to injection molding applications. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm going ahead.
Still the presentation mode is not enabled.
வந்துருச்சு இப்போ ஸ்கிரீன் தெரியல
சார் எங்களுக்கு ஸ்டாண்டர்ட் பிரசன்டேஷன் ஸ்கிரீன் தான் தெரியுது.
So Mano sir, அங்க ஒரு கப் மாதிரி ஒன்னு இருக்குல, அது பிரஸ் பண்ணீங்கனாக்க it will go to the presentation mode.
கப்பா?
That is on the after the notes, first, second, third, fourth, just before the increasing volume bar, no, there is one point is there.
இல்லையே சார், ஃபுல் ஸ்கிரீன் போனா எனக்கு எதுவுமே வர மாட்டேங்குது.
ஓ, நீ இந்த on your right hand side, sir.
Yeah.
Below down, come down, you have a menus. After that there is 2 points just before the minus, where is the volume will be very low. Next before that there is one point is there.
In the right side bottom, sir. Right side bottom.
Right side
bottom. Next one. Sir, you have to enable edit, sir. You have to first, it is in protection view. You have to make the enable edit. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, now you can share the screen.
Okay.
Put it in the presentation mode. Yeah.
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
perfect.
Okay, I am going ahead. Now, as Mr. Kumar has briefed you, we are a joint venture company between Orient Machinery of Japan and GEM Equipments of India, started in 1984, GEM Equipments, and Orient has a very long history. It started in 1946, and they are one of the largest chiller manufacturers in the world. They produce about 45,000 chillers a year for various categories, having various manufacturing facilities in Japan, China, Taiwan, Hong Kong, Korea, South America, and now currently India, with about 600 direct and 34 subsidiaries. The background of Orient is they made the first milking machine and dry vacuum pumps, domestic heaters, in fact compressed air dryers they made in 1970, and they also have the largest test chamber for testing the chillers, and they are the largest manufacturer of precision chillers in Japan, based out of Nagano, Japan. So this is their factory with various facilities. Our engineers have been trained by them. Our Farouk heads the service division, who is trained by Orient, and we have been authorized to handle all their services in India as well. So this is internal view of their factory, and this is our chairman and our joint venture with our plant based at Coimbatore. This is our board of directors. See, basically, GEM Orient, the strength of GEM Orient is in cooling systems, there are so many options: closed loop cooling, open cooling, cooling towers, chillers, dry coolers, adiabatic coolers. So the advantage of GEM is GEM Equipment and GEM Orient as a team, as a company, is we have a complete solution in under one roof. So that is our strength. So these are some of the products of GEM Equipments, and these are the products of GEM Orient. So if you see the features of GEM Orient, we are a joint venture company. We supply world-class chillers with excellent processing and testing facility, with Japanese quality at affordable prices. We have non-cyclic, highly reliable chillers with environment-friendly and energy-efficient 410A compressors with the inverter control, ranges from 0.5 to 30 TR. And Japanese concept is to maintain the cooling water at very low accuracy for various applications like 0.1 up to ±1 degree, to maintain the quality of the process, reliability of the process, as well as the quality of the component that is produced. And also we can have multiple chillers because each chillers have got communication protocols. They can be integrated, run in parallel, giving communication to each other. One can be master, others can be slave. Standard features has inverter driven fans for precision control. And we also have dual temperature control from single chiller. That means the same chiller can give two different temperatures for different applications. So to give an overview of our process, our complete bracing process has been qualified as per Japanese standard. So now coming to the cooling types of cooling systems, you can see my pointer. The open loop cooling system has got evaporative cooling tower, which is what standard conventionally people have been using. Now, when we talk of saving water or saving the process from maintenance, then we have to look at closed loop cooling. And in closed loop cooling also, there are two methods. One is to have a closed loop system with evaporation losses, with very little evaporation losses. And we can have a complete closed loop either by using a fully air-cooled system or by using complete chiller for even low and high temperature application, and or with a combination of both dry cooler as well as the chiller in combination. So these are all the possibilities for obtaining or keeping systems in place where you want to save water, save the process, have reliability, and increase your cycle time also. So basically, the concept of cooling starts from the wet bulb temperature. So whenever the required process temperature is above the wet bulb temperature, a simple cooling tower system with evaporative cooling can work. But for any process that requires temperature below the wet bulb temperature, then chillers are the only solution. So this is to give a typical cooling tower installation where we have lot of evaporation taking place. So even if you use good quality water, during evaporation, the pure H2O will evaporate and the remaining salt will continue to accumulate in the water. So you have to do continuous blowdown. And if the blowdown cycle is stopped because of water scarcity or commercial reasons or some technical reasons, then the scaling starts building up in your heat exchanger, in your cooling tower, in your process line, everywhere. So that creates an inefficiency in your process, so that your process cycle starts misbehaving or doesn't perform to the level expected by the process. So this is a typical layout of the open cooling system. And in the open cooling system, of course, we know there is an evaporation loss because the cooling tower works on evaporation. We have the cooling is achieved by sensible heat. And because of the evaporation losses, roughly about 1% of the evaporating water, continuous evaporation will happen in the water. So people have to arrange for the water. So currently we know what the situations faced a couple of years back for water scarcity. So people are now looking at solutions so that they want to run the entire plant lifetime without consuming even one drop of water. So we have the evaporative coil cooling tower also, which is one of the process wherein the heat exchanger can be implemented or put inside the cooling tower and then can be used for indirect cooling. Here, the process cooling Machine cooling, machine water will be in closed loop, but the water or scaling will happen only in the cooling tower. So that way evaporation losses will remain, but your maintenance cycles are shifted towards the cooling tower side. Another alternate option for using a conventional cooling tower is to use a heat exchanger in between the cooling tower process and your system process. It's almost same as the previous product. There has to be some approach between the cooling tower water and the internal water. So this way also you can avoid scaling in the mother machine and your internal process, but evaporation losses will remain same because the heat removal is directly proportional to the sensible heat removed, or it depends on the evaporation of water. So this is the typical system where we can see the cooling tower water is circulating between heat exchanger and the cooling tower. So this will be scaling and evaporation, whereas this will be in closed loop and you will not have any evaporation. This will avoid scaling as well as downtime in your mother machine, which is more valuable to protect. But here scaling will happen in the heat exchanger. So cleaning of heat exchanger is a must. So dry cooling is nothing but using ambient air to cool the water. So the only disadvantage of this process is this temperature, what you can achieve is only ambient plus 2 to 3 degrees is what you can achieve. So this is what we can achieve with a dry cooler. So it is normally used only where maybe for oil cooling or some specific applications where your water temperature inlet to process can be 40 or 45 and or above 45. Now the recent concept is to use adiabatic. So this adiabatic system is a retrofit to the dry cooler. So this adiabatic pad, by evaporating some amount of water in peak summer, will ensure evaporated water will reduce the air temperature from entry point to the cooler inlet and can maintain temperature of about 34 to 35 continuously, depending on even the highest ambient. So here the estimated evaporation losses will be roughly about, we can say 20% or 21% of the normal conventional cooling tower process, but we cannot get very low temperature like a cooling tower. We cannot get 31, 32, but 33 or 35 is sufficiently possible by using the adiabatic coolers. So these features and comparisons I'm skipping. Now coming to the dry coolers. See, dry coolers are used where the ambient temperatures are high. So when the required temperature is above the ambient, then we can adopt this. Here the water will be circulating in closed loop, so zero evaporation, and you can get low as ambient plus 3, and with extended operation we can get up to ambient plus 1 or 2 degrees, but it becomes unwieldy in size and technically, and the air fan power also becomes very high. But here the advantage is if there is no water at all, then we can use this system. So this is an adiabatic tower which has been supplied to some customer in Maharashtra. They are using it for their entire mold cooling testing process. And there is also a combination of wet and dry. So this shows a typical system where both cooling tower will be used as well as a dry or adiabatic can be used as a combination system. So if you think of a combination system, the dry cooler can cool the water for the process till about 33 or 34 degree temperature, as long as the ambient is around 32, because most of the places around 70 to 80% of the year throughout the year, if you consider, at least 60 to 70% ambient will be around 32, 33. So then this cooling tower system will be automized and it will not work. So this will be stopped. Only it will work on dry cooler. So once the ambient temperature goes up, then cooling tower pump and fan can start reducing the temperature so that we can always maintain the desired temperature of the process even at increased ambient temperatures. Now the trend of using a chiller for cooling both low temperature, that is mold application, and high temperature like feed throat as well as the hydraulic power pack cooling is becoming very popular. In fact, in Japan, for our principal supplying to Fuji, where the single chiller will cater to both the molds as well as the high temperature oil application with thermostat, either thermostat valve or temperature operated solenoid valves to maintain the specific oil temperature. The greatest advantage of this system is you don't need two cooling water systems coming from the utility part to the factory side. For example, if you are having multiple machines, then having a separate chiller for mold and having a separate cooling tower for the hydraulic process, you are forced to use two separate piping line. You have a heat exchanger, cooling tower, evaporation, water loss, tank, and it becomes very complicated in the factory to run and maintain these water lines. Two kinds of water lines, one with scaling, one without scaling. Because normally in chiller you have a closed loop, so you don't have any scaling happening. It's only a complete heating and cooling. Maybe once in a year or so you just make up or add or change water. And another advantage is even for your hydraulic power pack system, because the cooling is done by the same water at say 7 to 14 degree or 15 degree or whatever temperature your mold cooling temperature. The advantage of that is your hydraulic power pack also is maintained constantly at whatever set temperature by using a thermostat throughout the year. So that will ensure the life of the hydraulic components and all are maintained very reliably, plus the life of the equipment, life of your mold, life of your power pack, heat exchanger, your internal systems are all well protected because of that. So chiller is a complete cooling solution for mold, oil, feed throat as well as MTCs also. MTC also is a problem. When you give cooling tower water or some water, it gets contaminated, the air water cooled MTCs. So whatever is the set temperature of mold, we can maintain the oil temperature. This is what I explained. And basically current trend is almost 80 or 90% of the IMs are coming with servo controllers. So these servo controllers are at least 30 or 40% lower power. Input power itself is lower. Plus the heat rejected from a normal standard hydraulic system when compared to a servo system is again, normally the heat rejection will be about 40 to 50% in a standard hydraulic, whereas here it will be only 20-25%. So when you compare it with the machine total load, the servo load is also very less. So it is possible to combine the two and use it to our highest efficiency. So now the current trend, the Japanese method is to use dedicated chiller for dedicated machines to save on piping, and also the maintenance cost is reduced because once this machine is operating, you operate the chiller, then you off like that. So it is possible. Now, the advantage of the chiller is it can, Orion chillers can give precise temperature, plus or minus 1 with our cyclic and plus or minus 0.1 with our inverter models from any temperature from 7 degree up to 30 degree. Your set point can be anything. For example, if your wet bulb is 27, you want to run the cooling water during that wet bulb at 28 also, you can run the unit. The capability is very wide. The set points can be from about 7 degree up to 30 degree, and inverter chiller, now we are trying to extend it from plus 5 to 35 degree. So a typical chiller for multiple machines, so you have a common line and we have two separate lines, one for the hot line and one for the mold. So this is how we distribute for multiple machines. So suppose if you want to combine a dry cooler with chiller, so this could be a typical system where we can adopt this process so that we have a heat exchanger in between and a dry cooler can be used along with the chiller for maintaining. So at lower ambient, you can maintain with dry cooler, higher ambient, you go in for a chiller. And so these are some indicating ideas about piping. So this piping is is highly dependent upon the wrong sizes. So if this gives a very rough idea, this is the ratio of difference between one pipe selected and one required. So when it's a small piping difference, there's a huge head difference in the piping, which results in very high energy cost. So oil cooling, we can either use chiller or dry cooler. So the concept is either we can save water or we can save power. So we cannot save both. So that is the concept. So currently in various locations in India, we are facing various situations like water scarcity. So we are trying to manage the entire this thing by either with water or without water. So this is the summary. So both oil and mold could be run with one closed loop system. So either we can use a cooling tower combination, and for servo and multiple missions, we can try to adopt chillers. So similarly, people don't give much importance to piping. So piping also has a very important role to play in energy and power saving. So this is the last one. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Manoharan. It was a wonderful technical session on chillers and injection molding especially. As Mr. Manoharan told, the future is going to be dedicated chiller and dedicated machine, because that makes a lot of maintenance issues and also the water conservation and all the things. And especially in India is moving to ICT, information communication technology upgradation into manufacturing. Whatever Mr. Chiller suggested by GEM Orion, which has a communication protocol which can use paint chiller and a slave chiller and all these things going to happen, whether we like it or not. So my suggestion is take all the technical inputs and based on the requirement, have clear discussions with the GEM Orion people and then select a proper chiller. Don't make any mistakes, because either you lose water, it is going to be huge expensive and it is not available. Again, the power is also going to be very high. Now India is getting into dynamic power tariff systems where the rates are based on your consumption, which you might have seen it already in your day-to-day power consumption in your home. If you consume more power, the rate is going to go substantially high. So you need to conserve water as well as power. So based on your requirement, you choose it. Very good presentation, sir. It was wonderful. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. And next we will move to Mr. M. Kalyana Sundar, who is a